My name is Nick Halstead and I race with Accelerate Motorsport. I actually started in bikes, so unlike a lot of drivers who went through karting, my childhood was actually, because we couldn't afford cars, we did bikes. So from early childhood, I was doing motocross, endurance racing, and interestingly round Brands Hatch back in the day where they used to do trials round the inside part of the circuit on motocross bikes. So that's how I started. And then this has been my second wind when I suddenly decided I could get back into cars, and started good 8-9 years ago. So I have a very busy life. I run a couple of businesses. They take up like a huge amount of my time. I like to keep very, very busy. So I'm either in the gym, building businesses, trying to make changes to, I've got very involved in the business side of British Touring Cars as well and got myself heavily involved in that. So I'm literally flat out the whole time, don't watch much TV, love being on social media, love engaging with the fans. I'm just full on the whole time, either training, preparing for the racing, or building companies. Yeah, I mean, it normally takes a lot of drivers, a couple of seasons before they score any points. So it was a shock to the system. I was an AM driver, although I've driven at pro levels where I've moved up from AM to pro in other classes. That's a huge step for anyone. And so turning up at Donington, I'd been helped because I'd done one round at Croft a few years earlier. So I kind of got used to how frenetic it was. But, a first full season, being there, and then just it being such dramatic circumstances, it's kind of emblazoned on my mind. And I've also re-watched that round, I know, probably 50 times on YouTube. So, the fact that we had the wet race, I managed to make the right call on it, battling in. I remember very clearly, and he apologised straight after the race, Ash Sutton pushing me off the circuit at second to last turn. And it was just incredibly dramatic because there was cars all over the place, and getting a 7th place finish on my debut round was incredible. So and because unfortunately obviously Ronan lost his 3rd place that weekend because of the ride height, but at the time it was me, Tom Chilton celebrating the win, Ronan getting his first podium, and me getting the first points, all for the team in one go. So it's like you don't get any better than that. It's very hard to explain to people of how I've done a lot of racing in GTs at the highest level, but touring cars gives you there's no seconds spare to yourself. The whole weekend is just, the word intense. There's between the races, there's reviewing data, there's fan engagement the whole time. There's just always something going on. I remember asking Jade Edwards before I did the full season, I said, what's the one thing I should prepare? And she actually said, have some sandwiches. And it was good because you never have time to eat a full meal, so have something easy to eat, because that's literally describes it. It's like your eating pattern has to fit around the fact that you're so busy. So yeah, incredible. The whole season was really defined by first half, which was an incredible struggle for me to get up to pace, given how strong last year's grid was, especially the top 20 drivers all being on the podium. Incredibly hard to compete with, and then a second season where driving had massively improved, where I was mixing up with the drivers. But I enjoyed the whole thing, because in the end, it's the experience is just incredible. I set some criteria for myself of whether I wanted to do another season, and that was really, could I get to a pace where I felt that I could then really mix it up and take advantage of doing a second year. So I knew as soon as I finished it, I wanted to go back to Accelerate and say, I want to do another year of this. And then that was more of a, right, how can I take advantage of this? How do I make, I did a lot of things last year around crazy karts and other ways to, how I try to enhance the experience for me and for the whole championship. So it was exciting to be able to choose to go to Accelerate right with, early, choose to do this, and then be able to have all those months to plan out what my sponsors would be and what, how would take advantage of that for this year. Of course, it's always important, but there's nothing like being on circuit. It's great that this year we've got official test days, and that means rather than where you might organise to be at some circuits with one or two teams, but now we've got 3 events where we know most of the grid will be there. So that helps you learn, because you can see what pace they're at, and that's an important aspect for me, is to be able to be there with the other cars. And it's later in the season because it's a late start. It's all in April, so in theory the weather is going to be warmer, and might be very wet, but the weather will be warmer, and so it's great preparation. Yeah, and it's when you've got the option of the tyres as well, it's always, everyone jokes when the garage is like, who's going to be the one that wants to go out near the end of the day and stick the soft tyres on just to go and have that bragging rights to put a good time in. So yeah, of course, when you do a regular test day, people who tend to be quite kind to you on the circuit, you'll give way to people. But if, touring cars breaks all the rules, so you don't get any of that friendliness on the circuit. So people are still going to be, flashing their lights, barging past you if you're on a slow down lap or whatever. So it's still a full-on experience. I've only obviously done it. I've done it 1 year, and that was exciting, because it's like, wow, you've suddenly got the cameras on you. You've got ITV there doing a lot of their footage in readiness for the rest of the season. So again, that's quite full on, because you're being moved between lots of rooms, doing lots of separate interviews. You're getting headshots. You're getting your helmets filmed. So it's nice. You're there with all the other drivers. So it's a nice experience. So I look forward to it this year, knowing what it's like to be able to go, hopefully do a better job, because you want to try and show your best side and help people understand who you are as a driver. I enjoy it. I've put a lot of energy into, because my background with my companies is much to do with social media, I've put a lot of energy into online forums, some of the bigger ones that have tens of thousands of fans on them, making sure I answer questions, do live interviews and things like that. But then the circuit side of thing, you can't be outside of your truck or outside your garage without someone asking for an autograph. So you literally walk to the toilets, and it's like you've signed 20 things by the time you get there. So that's I love that engagement. I love talking to the fans when I've got the spare time to talk to the fans, because they're all, touring car fans are a special bunch. They are so engaged with the sport. Everyone is. You feel sometimes with F1 that people just enjoy the glitz. You touring cars, they're all so incredibly knowledgeable about it, and everyone's always talking about older seasons, some of the classic racing, so there's always great engagement. Just hilarious. So that's not, we as a group, not many people get to see if you have hospitality with us, you get to see it, but we do these group Q&As for like 40 minutes on most weekends, and it's like being in a London comedy club, because in particular Tom and Tom are, they're both very, very funny guys, very quick. Tom Ingram in particular is very quick-witted, so it just makes for just a very, very entertaining experience. So even that copies it across into the race trucks. So I share a truck with Ronan. We get on extremely well, get on, all the families and friends that are in there. And obviously, we do spend time in Tom and Tom's truck as well. But when, you'd be surprised how little we talk about the racing and how much it's more joking about and whatever. Clearly, we all take it very seriously. We do have our debriefing sessions, but in the end, everyone really enjoys what they're doing. It was a childhood dream for me. I think most drivers, when you ask Tom or everyone is, this is the pinnacle of British motorsport. There is nothing like the fan base, the engagement and the racing. If you enjoy, and I much prefer sprint racing to endurance, there's nothing like it in terms of the intensity, what it feels like when you get out of the car, just the whole thing. So there's nothing like it. Jack Sears is certainly going to be easier this year. I think when I look back, the talent that have won it before, they've always been, a very talented driver, but last year was, I was never going to have any chance. There's too many very young talents but obviously this year with Ronan and Mikey still being in it, that's still going to be competitive. But I think second year in, my goal, can I win it? Unlikely. But can I get some trophies on the weekend now? That I now feel that there's a chance that, if I have a weekend go well for me, there's a, potential for the weekend Jack Sears trophy rather than the overall. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to try and compete for the trophies this year. So yeah, to be consistent in the sort of not top 10, I did have a top 10 last year, so it'd be nice to get a few random ones of those. I'm very strong in the wets, so if we get some really nice random wet races, I'm very happy for that to happen. But I think the progression realistic for me is consistent in the top 20 and driving for that, and I say doing well in the Jack Sears.